gym maxing, career maxing, money maxing, status maxing, pretty much anything you can do to try to improve your situation in life as a sub 5 male, it's all cope. It's all a bunch of cope. Gym maxing, I tried gym maxing, total cope. Career maxing, I mean, when it comes to career maxing, money maxing, I took it about as far as you can take it, you know. I have a bachelor's degree and a master's degree in a STEM field, and I had a job in my field for about 4 years, and I got this job right after college. I was in my mid-20s, making about $70K a year. I lived in a big city, one of the biggest cities in the United States. And then to top it off, at that same time in my life, I also got pretty jacked. I mean, I got to the point where I could bench press about 300 pounds, deadlift 4 plates, which is like 405 pounds. And I could also squat about 300, you know. I was pretty jacked. And I was low body fat too. Like I had a 6-pack and everything. And it's just all of that effort, all of that work, all of that hard work, all the hours, blood, sweat, and tears. It's like it meant nothing when it comes to dating and relationships and women. It's like women did not care. They didn't care at all. I was still, with all of that, just invisible to women. Of course, I'm a very high inhibition, shy guy. You know, for me, approaching women in public or just trying to, I don't know, anything in person is really not going to work for me. And I don't have any male friends either, so I can't, you know, I can't really meet women through other friends. You know, I can't like meet a girl that's a friend of a friend. That wouldn't happen to me because I can't meet a friend of a friend because I don't have a friend. And aside from in-person dating, I tried online dating. I tried Tinder, Bumble, and Hinge. And I felt like I had a pretty good profile on these sites. Like I used my best pictures and I thought I had a couple of pictures that made me look pretty good, you know. And I thought I had a pretty good profile, you know. And if you don't know, I'm pretty tall. I'm about 6'2", so I put my height and my job title in my profile. And I did have a job title, which is considered somewhat prestigious, or at the very least, people know that someone with that job title makes a pretty good amount of money, right? So I had a good career going and everything. And in all my time on those dating apps, and again, I was in one of the largest cities in the US. In all my time on those apps, I think I got like 2 or 3 matches total. And these girls were just beasts, just absolute ogres. And I've talked about this before, but you know, I'm that desperate. So even though my matches were just absolute ogres, you know, not my looks match at all, like way below my looks match actually. And I'm not good looking because because I'm old and bald, but well, I was younger back then, but just as much bald. But either way, those matches went nowhere. And I tried to message them and they didn't even message back. So yeah, I mean, I guess I'm just making this video because there's a lot of copes out there and a lot of people are really into the whole gym maxing thing. A lot of people are really into the whole career maxing or money maxing thing. And it's just like, I don't know, I guess results may vary, but for me anyways, all of these things just proved completely pointless. I mean, it was just completely useless. And, you know, for no lack of effort, because when I talk about career maxing, I was career maxing. You know what I'm saying? To get my bachelor's degree and then to land the job that I finally got, I mean, that's a lot of hard work, right? It takes on average 4 to 5 years to get a bachelor's degree. And a lot of people don't know this, but a lot of STEM degrees actually have more credits than humanities and other types of degrees. So it actually, unless you're taking more than full-time load, so unless you're going to school actually more than full-time, it actually takes you more than 4 years to get a bachelor's degree in most STEM fields. So a lot of people don't know that. So for me, it took me about 5 to 6 years to get my degree. And then when all that was said and done, when I was finishing up my degree, you know, I had to spend as much time as I spent on school, I had to spend at least that much time or more on just everything from perfecting my resume, going to job fairs, filling out job applications, practicing interview questions. And for some people, maybe they don't have to practice interviews as much as I did, but with my extreme social anxiety, I know that I cannot think on the spot. So I literally had to practice, I had to look up lists of common interview questions and just memorize answers for dozens of questions. I mean, I spent hour upon hour upon hour practicing memorized answers to questions. And when all that's said and done, I think all in all, I managed to land about 4 or 5 interviews for jobs in my field. And of all those, I only managed to actually get one job offer, and that's the job I had. And even that, I think I've talked about that on this channel before, but even the job I did get, the way I got hired for that job was kind of a fluke. I mean, it was pretty much 100% luck. So I met my future supervisor at the career fair, and we talked. I gave him my resume and stuff. Then I emailed him afterwards saying, thanks for talking to me. I look forward to hearing from you and all that. He emailed me back pretty much immediately to say, yeah, it was nice talking to you, but sorry, we've already hired somebody else for the position. And so, I got rejected immediately. Then fast forward a couple months later, I get another message from this guy, and he's telling me, well, the person that we hired just didn't show up for work, so can you come in for an interview? So then I went in for a quick interview. Everything seemed really rushed. They hired me like the next day or the day after that. And they gave me an offer and I accepted. So the whole thing, it felt like they were kind of panicking and just rushed, and they needed to hire somebody for that position like immediately because somebody else had, got hired and just no-showed for the job. So yeah, even landing that job in the first place, it was complete luck. So if the stars hadn't aligned perfectly, all that work and effort I put in wouldn't have even got me that job. And of course, by now, I quit that job and it's completely hopeless for me ever finding another job like that in the future, but that's not really the purpose of this video. So yeah, you would think while I had that job, I'm a young guy in my mid-20s, making about $70K a year in a, somewhat prestigious career. I had a good physique, I had a strong physique, and I'm tall. And with all that, even using dating apps in one of the largest cities in the US, I had no luck. No luck. And I put in, again, so much effort. And it's not only that, I mean, it's romantically, but it is also, career-wise, all that effort I put in didn't get me very far, It takes a lot of work to make good grades in college. And I think even in the easier degrees, humanities and stuff, I did a STEM degree, which is generally considered a lot harder, but even if you're doing like a liberal arts degree, it's still going to be a lot of hard work. And then what do you get at the end of that? For me, I got one of the most supposedly in-demand degrees that are out there, and I barely even was able to get a job with that. And it sucks because nobody in my family understands, because, the older generation, they all think that, you get any college degree, you should be able to go out and get a job just like that. They just don't understand, like, how did you only get one job offer? You should have had dozens of offers. You should have had your pick of the litter. And it's just like, no, that wasn't how that was not at all how it is. And the crazy thing about career maxing and college and all that is that when you're going into college, you basically have to pick a major, and then you have to spend 4 to 6 years to get that degree. But at the time that you pick the major, you've got to choose pretty early on, and then it's like that kind of pigeonholes you into a certain type of job. And there's no way you would know before actually learning, like taking the classes and starting to learn the material relevant to that degree. There's no way you would be able to know what the actual career, the actual job you're going to be doing afterwards. There's no way you would be able to know what that is like. So how are you supposed to know if you would even enjoy your job after you get your degree? Because for me at least, and I know this is probably the case for a lot of people, I spent 6 years on that degree. And by the way, a lot of money as well. I didn't have scholarships, I'm still paying back student loans. It cost me a lot of money. I spent all that time and effort on that degree to get a job. I got the job, which by the way, didn't make me any happier. It made me money so that I could afford to live, but it didn't help me romantically or in relationships at all, which obviously, as you all know, our happiness is completely tied to our success in romantic relationships. And after all that blood, sweat, and tears, I got a job that I absolutely hated. I hated my job. It sucked. I had to go in every day. I had to wake up early, 6 a.m., drive 30 minutes to work, be at my job at 8, and then I had to stay until 4 p.m. And then while I was at my job, I hated the job, but it wasn't only the work that I hated. The work was completely boring and monotonous, but at least I could get by. But the part I hated is you have to sit there in this office in a little cubicle. There's always people around you. So anytime I have to answer the phone or talk to someone on the phone, which was, pretty frequent thing in my job, there's a billion people around me that can hear me. And that, as a super high inhibition, socially anxious guy, I hate that. It's torture. It was hell on earth, this job. And it's what I had to do. Eventually I quit, which, as much as I hated the job, I really regret quitting. And I've said it before, that was probably the biggest mistake of my entire life, but I don't know, maybe it wasn't such a big mistake because, like I said, what did that job really give me, right? I made some money. I made a pretty good amount of money, right? But what did that really get me? It didn't really make me happier. I had money. I had, I guess, a little bit of status because of my job, but it didn't help me with women. Girls didn't seem to care about it. This stuff's all a cope, man. It's like everything is a cope. Any type of self-improvement, it's a cope. Gym maxing, I got ripped. That doesn't make me grow hair. And I think, maybe if I got a hair transplant, I don't know, maybe that would help, but I just can't bring myself to do that. I really just can't bring myself to do that. There's something about it. It seems like it's like the equivalent of getting breast implants or something, right? It's just so fake. It's clown shit. It's just clown shit. That's how I see it. I don't know. I don't look down on any other man for getting a hair transplant or any kind of cosmetic surgery, really, because I understand, hey, if you're a sub-5 like me, I can understand why you would do that. I see it as, I'm personally against it in my own life, but I understand why someone would go that route because, hey, maybe it might help out. It probably won't. I think most even looks maxing is probably also just a cope, but, can't blame a guy for trying. I really can't. And I tried. I tried the only way I know how, because I feel like I've always been a pretty smart guy. So that's why I thought for me, I can money max. I can career max. And yeah, you see where it got me. 35 years old, unemployed, never had a girlfriend. And you know what? I'm pretty damn sure I never will. And I might never be able to find a job again either. In fact, I've pretty much given up. It's all just a cope, man. It's all a cope.